Lola's like, I'm watching too. Hi guys, my name is Katrina Jackson and I am going to show you how to make mini pineapple upside down cupcakes. So it's going to be really exciting. I do apologize for the camera and everything. It's going to be kind of bumping around. So when we first start with this, we are definitely going to have to set your oven. You definitely want your oven to be set to the right temperature. Most of the time when you're cooking, it's about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course, you're going to want to get everything ready. So I do have everything set out here. My recipe, and just some extra little notes. So what we're going to start off with is you need some butter. We're going to get that butter there. It asks for a 1/4 cup, but it really depends on what you're making. Since we're making cupcakes today, I'm going to melt a little more. So we have our butter and our brown sugar here. We just use pure cane sugar when it comes to the brown sugar as well. Let me see here. We've got our pineapple chunks. We've got our maraschino cherries. Our flour and sugar are right over here. It's flour and sugar. And then we've got oil, baking powder, salt, milk, and eggs. I do need to get the milk and eggs out of there. But right now what I'm going to do is set this to 350 degrees and get ready to get started for you guys. So we'll be right back. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is prep your pan to make sure that you have everything ready. So I'm just getting everything done here. Looking at here, you see how I have some cups over here. I've never tried these with the cups before, so it's going to be a learning experience for all of us. But you want some kind of non-stick spray, just to spray that and make sure that we're not going to have any issues with anything sticking. So we're going to give it a good shake and spray these really good. You want to make sure nothing's going to stick. Okay, and just to be safe, I'm going to spray some of these in case we have a little bit extra. Okay, so we get that all sprayed and we're going to set that off to the side. Now, mind you, our oven is going at 350 degrees. So when you start off with this stuff, you're definitely going to want to start off with your dry ingredients first. The reason being is because you're going to want to sift those. Okay, so before we start off with those, we're going to need to melt our butter. My favorite butter to use is actually unsalted butter, sweet cream. That way, you don't have the salt when it comes to your food. We don't want salt in our baked goods. So all I'm going to do is, while I'm getting everything melted and everything, I'm just going to pause this for a second and we'll come back. But yeah, I'm just going to pop in the microwave for a little bit, get everything melted, and we should be good to go with that. I'll be right back. Okay, so now we've got the butter melted. We're going to set that off to the side because we're going to need it later. So starting with our recipe, of course I have it written down. So we have the butter, we have the brown sugar. This is actually going to go in the pan, not in your mix. So let me move these over here. That does not go in your mix. I repeat, not in the mix, okay? So, we're going to get everything going here with our dry ingredients. So, we have some measuring cups here, and we're going to need about 1 1/3 cup of flour. So, we're going to pull that out. I might need to tip this up just a little bit. I wish that you guys could see me and all this at the same time. There we go. That's better. Okay, so when you measure your flour, just kind of, put it in there, but you're going to want to scrape it off, kind of level and everything like that. So we got 1 cup of flour there. And then we need a 1/3 cup of flour as well. I'm going to get that put in here as well. There we go. All right, so after the flour, we need 1 cup of sugar. We're going to put the flour away because, we want to keep everything clean. Okay, so flour's away. Now we're gonna dip up our sugar, and I have a measuring cup in here because we drink a lot of tea. Okay, so level off that 1 cup of sugar as well. We're gonna wanna put it in there, okay? That's our oven preheating. That's that beeping that you hear. All right, and we need 1½ teaspoons of baking powder. I have a 1/4 teaspoon, so I'm gonna have to do like 6 of these, but it's fine as long as you're getting the measurements and everything good. So this is our baking powder here. Now mind you, I'm using a 1/4, so we don't need 6 of these if you're doing, you know, 1½. Only if you're doing a 1/4. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, and then we need 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which is why I don't use salted butter, because we put salt in there anyways. We don't want everything being too salty. So again, I'm using a 1/4, so I'm going to fill this up twice. Get that put in there. Okay. And then we need the milk and the egg and all that stuff, which I do have over here. So while we have this in here, go ahead and give your dry ingredients, you know, a little mix. We want to mix it all up, make sure that everything's good to go, because here in a minute we're going to sift it and get all the big particles and everything out there. But we want to make sure that, you know, everything has a good mixture to it there. So we got that going, and I have my other bowl out here with just a small sifter that you'll sift your dry ingredients through there. You want to make sure that you're getting it all nice and even. This also allows airflow, makes it a little bit lighter. Try not to drop everything. Makes your desserts a little bit lighter as well, because it adds that extra air in there to your ingredients. And see, big chunks like that get taken right out. We don't have to worry about that. Get rid of those. We don't want chunky cake mix, okay? Nobody likes chunky cake. I mean, that's a lie, but... Alright, so I'm just getting everything sifted out, getting the big chunks out. Definitely don't want those in there. And I do apologize that this demonstration is going to take forever, because I'm not necessarily the fastest baker, if you couldn't tell. So we're just getting that out. You know, if you hit it a little bit, it does go faster. Out of there. Let me just try to scoop some of it in there. That makes it a little bit easier, not so messy. There we go. We're getting there. Yeah, baking takes a little bit of time, and you got to put love in your baking. Okay? You just can't come in here all angry and start going to town. People will taste it in your food. Just getting this all out. There's the rest of our flour. We're going to get that done. And now we're going to start working on our wet ingredients. So we want to put this dry ingredients off to the side, and we're going to start working with the wet ingredients. Okay, so now we've got our bowl for our wet ingredients, and that's going to be your egg. So we're definitely going to want to get that put in there real quick. We'll just crack open 1 egg. And I will put this recipe, guys, in the comments if you do want it, so just let me know. We're going to set this off to the side. We got our egg taken care of. And then we need 3/4 cup milk. So I'm being a little different, and instead of getting a big cup to measure 3/4 cups, I'm just going to measure 3/4 cups. There's 1, 2, and 3. So we got those in there. Now, the only other thing that we need is 1/3 cup of shortening, and we did use the, you know, cup for the flour, but we're using it for all the same stuff, so it's not going to be terrible. Just get that put in there. We got this big old thing of oil here. All right, so 1/3 cup of oil. That is all of our wet ingredients put together into one container. And of course, we're going to want to kind of mix them together. I know oil doesn't really mix, but if you look here, we need to get that egg broken up. We need to get that milk going. That way we've got everything going the way it needs to. Let me see if I can prop you down here. Okay, so the only thing that's left after doing this here is to add your wet and dry ingredients. The reason you want to keep them separate is so that way you don't have a whole bunch of chunks. So I'm just going to take my dry ingredients that we mixed together a minute ago and add it just a little bit at a time. Making sure to get everything mixed up really well. We don't want chunky cakes. Alright, so we got that mixed in. Start with our next one. Okay. So I usually do about half and half. Mix half of the wet and the dry ingredients in with the wet ingredients. Make sure you get it all off the side of the bowl. It needs to be mixed in good, okay? So we're just getting it good and mixed. And see, you have a good batter going on there. Definitely a good batter going on there. It's not too runny, but it's not too thick either. And as you see, you know, it looks pretty smooth. So we're going to set that off to the side now. And we are going to start assembling everything together. Let me get my dishes out the way because we don't need these anymore. Get all my stuff put up. Okay. All right. So after we got all that, we're going to have to get everything put together. Now this pan that we prepared and everything earlier, we should be good to go. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take that melted butter that we had earlier. Let me kind of move everything out of the way so you can see here. We're going to take this melted butter and we're going to put a little bit of it in each one of these pans. I know it sounds weird not to put butter in your cake mix itself, but trust me, this is the way to do it. And we're going to try it here with the containers as well. Like I said, I've never tried them with the containers, so we're going to see how they turn out. I know they turn out fine regularly. Get a little bit more in some of these. You want to be really careful when you're cooking these because they could definitely go over. So just be mindful. Okay, so we're getting everything put together so we can enjoy these. Enjoy these. Okay, a little bit more in there. All right, and then after that, you're going to take your brown sugar. Let me get her open here. So you're going to take a little bit of that brown sugar. I'm just going to kind of, you know, reach in here because I'm the one that generally does the baking. So just put a little bit of brown sugar in there with your butter. Not a whole lot. You don't want it to completely soak up all the butter, but you want to be able to get some of that caramelization from the sugar on your bread. Excuse my dogs barking. They heard a noise. Okay, so anywhere that we have the butter, we're going to put a little bit of brown sugar in there. You know, just enough. And I would say just a little bit of a pinch in each one. You don't want it to soak up all that butter. Baxter, it's just me. What are you doing? Okay. So we got that in there. Next step after the brown sugar. Let me rinse my hands off real quick. We don't want that mess going on. Next step after the brown sugar is to put some pineapple in here. And you really want to drain the pineapple. I just have Dole crushed pineapple. It's not, there's not a lot of juice in it really, but okay. So you get your pineapple open, if I can here. You see it's just being rude. Let me get a spoon. All right, and we're gonna spoon some pineapple into each one of these little dishes. Kind of spread it out with your brown sugar and butter. We want it to be all over the top, so make sure you get a good amount in there. So we're just spooning this in there here, getting a good chunk. Now you want to leave it to where it's only like a third of the way full, because you still got to put batter in here and some other things as well. So we definitely want to make sure that they're not going to overfill. Try to drain as much as that juice out as you can. Get some of that pineapple put up in there. Alright, and now we're going to put some over here in our cupped side. We're going to try these, because I've never tried them with the cups. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. We're going to learn something new together today. Okay, so we're just getting some pineapple put in each one of these little containers. Okay, 2 more, and then we'll be able to move forward from there. You know, you want to make sure there's a good amount of pineapple in there. You need the fruit. Okay, so I got that there, and then we have our maraschino cherries. So what we're going to do is take a cherry and put it in each one, because, you know, who doesn't love cherries on pineapple upside down cake? Kind of stick it in the middle. If I can get them out. Make sure you're pulling off the stems, especially if you're going to be serving these to kids. We don't need anybody choking. Gotcha. I gotcha. Alright, so after I get this put in here like this, I'm going to show you what it should look like. Okay? That way you guys know. Getting all these cherries put in there. We want to, I'm real picky. I don't like the smush ones. So I try to get the ones that are whole. All right, last one. I'm going to dispose of those and put my lid back on and wash my hands. Give me just a minute. All right. Okie dokie. So let me get this other light turned on because it's starting to get a little dark outside. All right. So when you're done and you have everything put together, your pan should look something like this. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we are going to get everything put together, and I'm going to show you guys how to get it filled. Go ahead and give it another quick stir. That way we're not worrying about anything. Get rid of this. And we need an actual spoon. So if you have a big fat spoon, you know, just go ahead and use that. It's great. But what you're going to do is spoon in a little bit of the batter in each one of these containers. Remember not to fill it all the way up, otherwise you're going to have a big old mess. So just cover the pineapple and the cherry. Just cover it up. I never said I was the best baker, so I'm just kind of showing you something that we all enjoy at the house. So we're just getting this put in there, making sure that we fill them all up pretty evenly. We don't want some cooking faster than the other, okay? That's how you end up with burnt product. Okay, so we got that side. Now, my recipe usually goes for a cake, which has you do it in, I think, a 13 by 9 cake pan for 50 to 55 minutes at 350. But we are doing cupcakes, which aren't going to take that long. So what we're going to want to do after we put them in is check them after about 10 minutes, see how they're going. And then, you know, let them golden brown and everything from there. Now, I'm not planning on saving any of this batter, but I do want to get a batch done for you guys, and then I'll finish out the batch after my speech. But essentially what's going to happen is the bread itself, or the dough itself, is going to bake. It wouldn't even be bread or dough, it's batter. But it's going to bake, and it's going to pull in these juices from the pineapple, the butter, everything. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn you here. And excuse this mess, but you're going to see me put everything in the oven. Okay. So we've got our oven preheated, and we're going to put this in there at 350. Get everything slid in there. And we're going to set the timer. Okay, I'm going to take you in my hand here. We're going to set the timer for 10 minutes, okay? And then we're going to check it and see how they're doing. It may need a couple more minutes. It may be fine there, but cupcakes usually take a little less time than a cake, so we'll see you soon. Okay, so now we hear our oven going off. It is the 10-minute check. Let me turn you around. So we see that they are rising, which is great. They're doing real good. And so now all we're going to do is give it a few more minutes for everything to become golden brown. So I would say set it for 3 minutes and then we're going to check it again. 3 minutes. And we'll be back. So we're coming up on the end of our 3 minutes here, and the oven is about to go off like it is right now. So we're going to check everything and see if we're golden brown yet. If not, we will leave them in there until we're golden brown. And here we go. Still not quite golden brown, so we're going to want to wait a little longer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this around here. So give me just a second. Just going to kind of give it a little spin. Maybe. Got such a big pan here. You see how some of the juices have started coming out and going over. That's why I wanted to leave some of those extra. But we're going to give it a couple more minutes. And we're just going to keep checking. So I'll go for 3. And we'll see you soon. Alright, so our second 3 minutes is done. We're just going to pop them open and check. See, we're goldening up just a little bit. I want to say just a couple more minutes and we'll be done. But a good way to check, let me shut this off, is to have a toothpick to check and make sure that the actual, come on, goodness, okay. So you want to check and make sure that the actual stuff is done. So what you'll do is you'll put a toothpick in there. And you see how it comes out clean. Of course, looks like we got the cherry there. So those are pretty good. It's showing that they're done. I am just going to give them a few moments. Well, not even a few moments. Just a few seconds in there while I get everything ready to get them pulled out of the oven. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're about to pull these out of the oven. They got nice crisp edges going on right now. We're going to get them set over here. Take a look at those guys. So now, here's the learning portion for both of us, okay? One side we have ones that I put into containers. They're all feeling pretty good. You know, they feel like sponge. They don't feel liquidy. So we're going to take one out of here, and then I'm going to flip these over like I usually do to see how they came out. Because you want to get them out when they're hot. Okay, so let me grab a fork. And we'll place them side by side to do a comparison with the two. Okay, so I got my plate. And we're just going to pull out one of these little guys right here. See how it came in this. Really hard. I've never done it like this before because it is hard to get them out. But hey, that turned out amazing. Like, check that out. So maybe I will start using these with that. But look at that beauty, okay? Nice piece. Everything is good to go. Let me get a knife and show you what we're looking like inside. Try not to burn myself with the pan because it's hot. All right. So we've got this one here. Let me back it up. We're going to kind of cut it. Okay, so the middle and everything is done. It's ooey gooey, just dripping. Good to go. So we do know that these ones here work. So I'm going to pop all these out real quick. Give these other ones time to settle. We'll just have to flip those upside down and take their containers off. Because this next part is going to be a doozy. Okay. Get those all out. Oh my God, it's hot. Okay. So, with those done, we dispose of that. Okay, so with those done, we're going to pull out another container. Make sure she's all wiped off. All right. All right. So, when we're doing this, you want to be careful because you will burn yourself. All right? Will. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So what I do is I set a container over here like this, and then flip. And you're going to want to kind of bang them out. Might be a little stuck. Let me grab another one of these. See if we could get those all out. And we did. We're good to go. Now check that out, guys. So apparently it doesn't matter which way you want to make them. Whether you have them in the container here where you would have to flip them upside down and unwrap them, you could do that. I just feel like that's a little bit too much work when I can turn around and pop them out the pan. And if you look at it, okay, the one that is in the container, you know, has a little bit of, I don't know how to call it. It's a lot lighter. It doesn't look as appealing as one that was not in the container. But this is how we make pineapple upside down cupcakes. I will leave the recipe in the comments for you guys. I feel like we're gonna enjoy these. So I'm gonna have my roommates and everybody come in here and grab them one, and we'll see what they think. Mel decided she wants some Cool Whip on hers. But you know, you eat them warm, and that's the best way to eat them. Good?
Mm-hmm. Crushes real good, flaky. Inside's moist.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for listening to me do my demonstration. I know it was a little crazy, but we got there. So other than that, you guys just have a great day, and I'll send you that recipe if you want it. Bye.